To really understand CQC Home and where we are today and where we've come from, we kind of got to start at kind of my beginnings and some of the reasoning why, I kind of had the ambition or drive to create something that out of nothing. CQC Home is located here in Durham, North Carolina, and I was born on Holloway Street at a local orphanage or like a children's home, and I always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I wanted to create something. So while I was there, I actually, for multiple summers, ran, oddly enough, a lemonade and soda stand. So I'd be on the side of the road in downtown Durham and pretty much the ghetto. But it was a great experience for me to learn how to take something from nothing, understand how to build a business, understand how to make money, buy something, sell it for more, but then also helped me to learn how to work with people, leverage people. I brought in some of my friends to come and help me, and I would pay them. So from there, I kind of just bounced around, kind of did a bunch of little things, worked on cars, worked on this, just kind of anything I could find to do. Didn't really have any direction. And one day I saw an ad in the newspaper. Actually, it was in Chapel Hill, and the ad said, "No experience necessary." So I said, well, that's me. So I got a ride up to a construction site. I had never picked up a tool in my entire life. I knew absolutely nothing about construction, but I definitely had no experience. So I got to the job site, and the owner of the business, Lee Munson, he was a custom home builder, built about one really nice custom home a year. But he was a true artist. He did everything himself. He would redo things that subcontractors did. So like the electrician would wire the house, and he would almost unwire and rewire because he wanted everything to be straight and in line and perfect and clean. So in working with him for about 3 years, he kind of taught me any and everything about construction and how to do it right. But what I noticed in working with him is that he was a true artist and his work was beautiful, but he wasn't really making any money. Young me, 22 years old, thinking like this doesn't make sense. This guy's too good, too skilled, the product he's given is so amazing that people buying it are just thrilled to death, but he's not making any money and he's struggling. So I kind of decided, well, I could do it better. Now, I obviously couldn't, and I learned that the hard way, but I thought I could go do it better. I could do what he's doing, and I could actually make money and actually provide for people and provide for myself and provide for my family and my young kids at the time. After about working for him for 3 years, I went off on my own as a subcontractor for general contractors. I kind of started doing staircases because at the time, I was a carpenter and I could do more complex things that traditional carpenters didn't want to do. If it's not 22.5, 45 degrees or 90, they don't want to touch it because it takes time and you got to really process through it. So I kind of took the skills that Lee taught me, self-taught myself how to do stairs. For about 2 years of building staircases for Southern Staircase and a couple of other companies as a subcontractor, I started to get, as a lot of small businesses do, I started to get requests to do other things, screen porches, bathrooms, built-ins, kitchen cabinets, things like that. Well, again, the only experience I had was what I had learned by working with Lee, but I had never learned how to sell a job. I had never learned how to build anything on my own. It was always working under someone else. Out of the request to do these different projects from friends and family, things of that nature, was born Custom Quality Carpentry. I started this business. It was definitely your traditional small construction business. I was selling jobs, swinging a hammer, showing up on the job site all day, working 70 hours a week, basically a glorified job, but I was kind of learning as I was going. So every project I did was the first time I did that project. So for example, I remember my very first screen porch I built. It was the very first screen porch I had ever built. So I had to learn the components of how a screen porch is built. I had to learn what a foundation looks like and who to call. And I had to learn how to hire subcontractors to do the parts that I couldn't do physically myself. And of course, I did everything with a hammer that I could, which is typically the carpentry, the framing, and the trim and things like that. So that kind of grew and grew, and as I get better and better, I made a ton of mistakes. I mean, I remember doing projects that would take someone that knew what they were doing 8 hours, and it would take me 3 days. and I'm only getting paid by the job. So I'm not making very much money by the hour if you can do the math, but I was learning. I was basically teaching myself how to do it. And also I didn't have any guaranteed pay. I had to complete the job to get paid for it. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I realized that I could only go so far by myself. So I started to hire people. And in a traditional method for small construction companies, I brought on 1099 guys, right? So I brought on guys, either started off paying them cash, then it kind of transitioned into paying them a check, but then I 1099'd them. Then I had to learn what 1099 was, and I had to learn what insurances were and all those things. So around 2009, I kind of got to the point where I decided, well, I need to be a legitimate business. So in one day, I took all 5 guys that I had and I put them on payroll, which meant I had to learn what payroll was. I put them all on workers' comp, which meant I had to learn what workers' comp was. I got insurance, and so in one day, very quickly, I realized how expensive it is to run a legitimate business. So what I thought I was running was a legitimate business, I was not at all. From there, I struggled with cash flow and hiring and firing and HR and management. And I spent about 2 years really just learning what a business was and how to be a businessman. So I had to transition from being a builder, carpenter, remodeler, whichever term you want to use for yourself, to being a businessman. I had to look at things through the lens of a business point of view versus how do I build something very well. So then I started to study any and everything I could find. I got free magazines, Remodeling, Qualified Remodeler, all these magazines they offer for free. I got every single one and read every single article I could find. Internet was pretty new, but I went on the internet and found every article I could find. I read old JLC magazines from the early 90s and just tried to learn any and everything I could about the business side of business and not necessarily about how to build things. Now I'm still building things, but I'm leveraging other people at this point. Once I finally kind of got things stabilized and I understood cash flow and I understood, how to pay people and how to keep people happy and how to give people a direction, the next kind of step in the business was to bring in design. So before that, I was working with architects and working with builders or just kind of winging it. I had a lot of projects that I just drew on a piece of paper and then just went and built it. So my very first designer I brought on in 2014, and that's when we kind of transitioned into a design build firm. So what would happen is a client now would come in and would work with my designer to pick out their cabinets, to draw their plans, to draw their space, and then we would, just like your design build firms now, we would take that, price it out, select it, and we would have a much better understanding of the final product because we were the ones that designed it. Then we could build it more efficiently, more effectively, and closer to the client's budget than what I was doing before, where I was just kind of guesstimating or kind of what we call the WAG method, the wild ass guess method. Throughout the years, I just continued to grow, brought on more designers, brought on more carpenters, brought on more office staff. Year over year, our revenue grew, so our needs and demands for the business grew. We started off kind of with the lead carpenter method, where you have one guy that's on site that's kind of managing all the subs, but he's also swinging a hammer. So he's actually also the guy building things. In a lot of small construction companies, that's the way they start. You feel like you have good control of the projects because you've got somebody there on site that's actually doing what you need to be done. So we started with that method. That got us to probably around 3 million in revenue. And then we got to where there was too many projects for our lead carpenters to manage. So we transitioned to the next model that a lot of people use, which is the project manager model, where we essentially subcontracted out a significant portion of the work and then just employed project managers to schedule the jobs, work with the subcontractors, tell them what to do. And we still had a couple of carpenters that were working for us. About 2020, beginning of 2020, during COVID, the company had grown to about $8 or $9 million and about 50 projects a year. And so I kind of had run into this conundrum where there just seemed to be a lot of finger pointing and loss of rapport with the clients. And so I said, how can I create a system that allows us to still sell a project, design a project, and build a project. So I came up with this model, the PDPM model, which is what we run now and what I actually teach a lot of other companies to run. PDPM model is project director and a project manager. So the project director sells the job, leverages the design team, works with the project manager to build the project. So there's no loss of rapport, and the same person that the client hires from day one that shows up in their house and meets their family and meets their dogs and kids and whatnot is the same person that walks them through the entire project. So we implemented that model, which made a big difference because our client service and our clients' appreciation and their happiness grew dramatically. We had much happier clients. They were more pleased with the work, as well as the jobs began to be more efficient and more effective, and the business was able to continue to grow and scale without having to add a bunch more people. So we went from having 25 people doing 8 million to today we'll do close to 18 million with the same amount of people using this new model. Today, what CQC looks like, it's completely management run. I have a phenomenal leadership team. I work anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a week, basically doing high-level executive management, working with my leadership team, creating a vision, finding high-level clients and high-level opportunities. I call myself an opportunity miner, but the team now has all the processes and systems in place that it's taken years and years to get there, but they have the processes and systems in place to where everybody knows what they're doing, everybody knows what they're expected to do, everyone knows what they're held accountable to. There's KPIs for every single role, and so a client can come in, go through our process and complete their project on time, on budget, and be happy, and the business makes money, and I don't have to be involved in every single detail of the project. I think it's really important to hire people smarter than you. Sounds like a joke, but I want to be the dumbest person in the room when I'm in the team, when I'm in my team meeting, because I want everyone to be a star and a professional at their role, whatever that is. So I want them to be able to tell me and perform their job better than I could, and then also bring in unique, creative ideas to improve their role. And so that's the benefit of bringing in good people that are really good at their job. And then what a lot of small construction companies struggle with is the kind of letting go and trusting. I use the 80-20 rule. If someone comes to me with a decision, if they're 80% right, I'll let them run with it so they can use that 20% of being wrong to learn, instead of me telling them how to do everything, which really limits growth in a business. Because if one person has to control all the decisions for the business will never grow. It'll only grow as much as there's time for the one person that's making all the decisions. So it's a little uncomfortable, especially for construction business owners, but you've got to find the right people that you trust, that are good at their job, and then just let them run with it. Trust but verify, and then set up the right processes and systems to be able to track the things that need to be tracked. So if you have KPIs for every role and you have every job tracked in some type of CRM or project management system, then you can look at things from a high level point of view and make sure that they're on schedule, on budget, on time, and the client's happy without you having to really be involved in the day-to-day. Our vision for CQC is to be the largest remodeler on the East Coast. We are probably, if not the closest, we're one of the largest remodeling specific companies in North Carolina. Our goal is to get to somewhere between 25 and 35 million annual revenue, which creates opportunity for everyone that works here. We are opening an office in Raleigh. Future, we will probably open an office in Wilmington and possibly one in the mountains. All of these things, what they do is create opportunity for all the people that come in here, not just the people that are currently working here, which gives them ways to level up and move up in their career and have different positions. It also creates opportunity for the people that don't work here yet that will work here in the future. So we can give back to this industry, we can give back to this community, we can give back to our employees, which dives right into what our mission is, to tangibly improve the lives of our clients and our employees. And if we can create opportunity with CQC that allows them to do that, where their pay increases, their benefits increase, their quality of life increases, they give back to everyone around them, they give back more to their team, they give back more to our clients, and they give back more to the community.